We appreciate your patience. We are excited to be moving forward. Thanks again. First off, thanks to Chamonix Creek Brewing for hosting today. There is some water out for people who need water. We really appreciate you being here. Before we have Senator Casey and Governor Shapiro come out, we have a very, very special guest. It was my honor to meet her a few years ago when we honored her. We talk about heroes, you talk about people who lead, you talk about people who just put their head down, did what needed to be done, got it done, and all of us benefited. One of the original Rosie the Riveters, Bucks County's May Cryer.
Good morning. I just found out I'm here with the big guns today, so be patient with me. My name is May Cryer. I'm an original Rosie Riveter from World War II. I helped build B-17 and B-29 bombers during World War II at Boeing in Seattle, Washington. I'm proud of the role I played during World War II. I was born in the Middle West before the war. I remember the day Pearl Harbor was bombed very well. When the war was declared, the men went to war immediately in our small towns. And naturally, after the boys left, us girls wanted to leave too. So we ended up going to all the aircraft factories and the shipyards, everything it took for us to help in the war. During the Great Depression, we lived during the Great Depression. That was the decade. I was born in 1926, and that was the worst decade in our think of our country. We had the Dust Bowl, we had the Great Depression, and we had the stock market crash. That was a terrible time in the history of our country. The only good thing that came out of that decade is my mother got the right to vote. And ladies, don't let Trump take that away from us. I've lived through 17 presidents. And it's sad because we learned to honor our president. We didn't necessarily need to like him, but we respected the president and the office. We've lost that, and that is so sad. It's sad to see what we've lost. I can't believe that one man like Trump, what he could do to our country. I've never seen anything like this before, and I'm sure a lot of you haven't either. It's very important that we see that he doesn't get control. I think that's so important. This is why I am so proud to stand here for Senator Casey and our Governor Shapiro. They're two great men to be respected. During World War II, there was millions of us women. We were never honored. We never reached the honor that we received, or should have received after the war. The men came home to flying flags and parades. Rosie the Riveter came home with a pink slip when it just wasn't fair. They did nothing for the women that helped to save our country. As I worked for many, many years. And all of a sudden, I connected with Senator Casey. And you can't imagine what that man has done for me and our Rosie the Riveters. There's millions of us. He just never quit. He never quit. Every time I would ask for something, he'd be there for me, support me. I think that's wonderful. And this just didn't go on for weeks. It went for months, it went for years. And we finally got the National Rosie Riveter a day, thanks to Bob. Then, after many years of work, he helped us get the Congressional Gold Medal, which is the highest civilian honor that you can get for our country. Now, isn't that outstanding? And you know, he did this, he was so easy to work with, and he did it so well. And I think that's so outstanding. And I really appreciate what he has done for us. There's not a whole lot I can tell you other than the fact that Senator Casey was there for it at all times. It wasn't my job or your job. He was there for me. Now, every time I go, you can't believe how I ding-donged him over the years to get what I wanted. But he came through for us. And I can't say anything more than to say, if you want something done and ask Senator Casey, you've got to do your part. You've got to build the background. He can't do it all. And so just remember this. Senator Casey has certainly came through for millions of us women all over this country. And we really thank him.
Hey everybody. Hey everybody, good morning. Great to be with you this morning. I want to start by thanking May Cryer. May, thank you very much. Of course, today we thank May not just for that wonderful introduction and getting us started, but for her commitment to our country at a really difficult time for America. And she and all the Rosies out there all across the country not only contributed then, but they continue to contribute to their country today. So God bless you, May, for your leadership and for your commitment to our country. I'm grateful to be here with Governor Shapiro. Let's hear for him. And I'm grateful to be here in Croydon at Neshaminy Creek. I've actually tried the beer over the last number of years. I forget what year I started, but I've had at least, I think, two different IPAs, and they're good. I didn't have any today. I wanted to make sure you knew that. But I wanted to thank the folks here at Neshaminy for having us here today. Let's hear it for them. And I know Commissioner Harvey preceded us to the microphone. Commissioner, thank you for your contribution today, but also for your leadership as a commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner. We're at Ashley Ehas. Ashley, where are you? Ashley, thanks so much. Thanks for your work and your candidacy. Thanks for being with us today. Look, I want to be brief, but I want to make sure that I first of all start off with gratitude. I'm grateful for your willingness to be here today. On a Monday morning, you could be other places, and I know you have other commitments, but you chose to be here to help a candidate and to help our party. But I think in a larger sense, you're here because you love our country. So thank you. Thank you for caring enough about our country to be here with us today. I wanted to talk about what this race is about. It's about work that I've done as a United States Senator delivering for our Commonwealth and delivering in particular for Bucks County. We brought a hell of a lot of money here to fight to make sure that we have the kind of remediation we need for PFAS and the threat that poses. We've brought money here for local governments, for county government, for our schools, K through 12 education, $72 million for the schools here in Bucks County. That's what I brought. So there's a lot we can talk about in terms of what I've delivered for the people of Bucks County. Now, in a larger sense, I've been part of the team that's delivered that $35 per month cap on insulin. We got that done, right? We got the PACT Act done to make sure that veterans who served near these awful toxic burn pits, that they have the health care that they needed. So the PACT Act. I'm especially proud of the work that I did to pass the ABLE Act so that families could save for a disability just like you save for college. And we're grateful to have worked with so many people to get that done. But you know what? This race is much more than about a recitation of what's happened. This race, in large measure, is about rights and fights. The right to vote and democracy is on the ballot in this race and in every race, right? Women's rights are on the ballot like never before in our history. Workers' rights as well. And on all those issues, whether it's supporting the voting rights legislation or whether it's supporting the Women's Health Protection Act to protect women's reproductive rights, or whether it's supporting the PRO Act to support working men and women, make sure they have the right to organize that's protected and even strengthened. On all those issues, I'm on one side, my opponent's on the other. He will never vote for any of those bills to protect voting rights, women's rights, and workers' rights. So I think people have a very clear choice. But as I mentioned, this is also about fights. Some big fights that we've had for years about Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. It's also a big battle on whether or not we're going to have a tax code that focuses on the middle class, which is what the tax code should. But you know what? If someone wants to support my opponent, here's what they're going to get. He has promised to support the tax bill that Republicans rammed through the Senate in 2017. It gave away the store to big corporations and rich people. We can boo to that. Boo! And he wants to do the same thing, double down on giving away the store to the largest corporations on the planet Earth and their wealthiest people on the planet. I think that's wrong. We should give a tax cut to the middle class at long last that's meaningful and not some... You know, when Republicans in the Senate, when they have a majority, the middle class gets the scraps off the table after they've given away everything to the top. I think we need a new tax policy to focus on middle class families. And how about the child tax credit? We had a chance, right? We know from 2021 that child tax credit could help 97,000 children just here in Bucks County. More than 75% of the kids benefit from that child tax credit. So we had a bill a couple of weeks ago, right in front of the Senate, up or down, support legislation on the child tax credit. You can vote yes to advance it or no to block it. Guess what all but 3 Republican senators did? They voted to block it. So they voted against the children of Bucks County. They voted against the children of our Commonwealth and our country. That is wrong. When we maintain this majority and we elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, we're going to pass an enhancement to the child tax credit at long last. So I won't go on. You know what's at stake. You know the big fights we have and the rights that are at stake. But I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here today, not just for me, but for so many candidates, whether it's Ashley or whether it's Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And the person who's leading that effort in our Commonwealth, of course, is Governor Shapiro. Now, you might have heard this line before. I'm not sure if you have, but I'll just test it out. Governor Shapiro gets stuff done, right? Whether it's delivering for the people of Bucks County, whether it's fixing a bridge that got a little bit of attention, or whether it's going to the mat every day to find dollars for education, to find dollars for our kids, and to make sure that we're protecting our seniors. I'm honored by his support. I'm grateful for his friendship, but most of all, as a citizen of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I'm grateful for his leadership as governor. The governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro.
What's up, Bucks County? It is so good to be with all of you, and on this Monday morning, to have all of you here says a whole lot about how you feel about Pennsylvania's senior senator and our friend Bob Casey. Now, I got to tell you, Bucks County is a special place for me. This is where I took a girl on a first date. We had cheese fries and a milkshake. I don't know that I could eat like that anymore. Over at the old Goodnoe Farm. I wore her down. She agreed to go out with me. And we've been married 27 years, and she's your first lady. And it all happened here in Bucks County, my wife, Lori. The senator talked about the 3 letters that we live by in Pennsylvania. the work we do every day on behalf of the citizens of our Commonwealth. We focus on those three letters, GSD. We focus on getting stuff done. But one of the things you learn in politics is the only way you get stuff done is by having great partners. So when you think about how we rebuilt I-95 in just how many days? 12 days. When you think about the work we're doing to clean the chemicals out of our drinking water, when you think about the work we're doing to make sure every child of God gets a great quality education, when you think about the work we're doing to rebuild our roads and bridges and our infrastructure across Pennsylvania, when you think about the work we are doing to connect everyone to high-speed internet, including many people living in the rural parts of this great county, the only way we get those things done is with our senior senator, Bob Casey. That's the only way. The senator is always there for us to deliver a check, to make sure key legislation passes that helps Pennsylvanians, like capping insulin at $35 for our seniors. By making sure, this is a particular passion of mine, those with disabilities are treated with respect, not just here in Pennsylvania, but all across the country. Our senior senator did that in the United States Senate. And part of the reason why I think Bob Casey is so effective is because he still shows up in places like Croydon. He still gets in his car and he shows up in communities big and small. Places where you got tall buildings lining the streets and places where you got one-story buildings lining our main streets. Rural, urban, suburban communities, Bob Casey shows up. He is authentically Pennsylvania. And when he shows up, he does something that most elected officials don't do. He listens. He hears your concerns. He understands what you're dealing with in your community. And then he goes back to Washington, D.C., and he gets stuff done for all of us. Now, when you think about, I was going there, who said that? The man in the great Harris Walls t-shirt just said, and he doesn't live in Connecticut. So I was about to go there. When you think about authenticity, you think about someone who's like us, who shares our values, who gives a damn about us, who can go to those halls of power and not forget where he came from. That is Bob Casey, and you could not have a clearer contrast in this race. Someone who's one of us, Bob Casey. Someone who cares about us, Bob Casey. Someone who puts people before the powerful, Bob Casey. We wouldn't be talking about greedflation across this country if it wasn't for Bob Casey. This is a man who has always had our back, and now we have to have his. And so when you go vote for Bob Casey, you get a twofer. Let me explain what I mean by that. Number one, you get a great United States senator who fights for us every day, who knows where Croydon is and doesn't need to take a private jet to get here. And you get the man who will make sure that the Democrats are in the majority in the United States Senate when we return Bob Casey to Washington, D.C. The impact of that means that we're going to pass bills that are going to help our kids, not rip away their freedoms and their rights. The impact of that is that when we pass budgets, they won't just be numbers on a spreadsheet. They'll be statements of our shared principles and values. When we elect Bob Casey, that means no national abortion ban. We'll say no to that and yes to voting rights legislation when the Democrats are in charge in the U.S. Senate. It means more resources for communities like ours that need the federal government to be there for us. So the twofer is you get a great senator with a big heart who knows where we're from and shares our values, and you get a Democratic U.S. Senate. By the way, that's the same thing that happens when Ashley E. has cast her first vote for Hakeem Jeffries to be the Speaker of the U.S. House. Bucks County is not only the swingiest of all swing counties, in the swingiest of all swing states, and I mean that only in the political sense. but it's also the county that is going to determine who is in the leadership of the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate. Now, when you go vote Bucks County, you're going to be a whole lot of names on that ballot, starting with the great Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Are you with me in supporting Kamala and Tim? And you're going to see Bob Casey's name right there next on the ballot. Are you with me with Bob Casey? And right under that, you'll see Ashley Ehas running for U.S. Congress. Are you with me or not? There's a whole bunch of names on that ballot. But at the end of the day, this election, Bucks County, isn't really about their names on the ballot. It's about all of you. And the work that started here in this Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, founded by the same person that founded Bucks County, William Penn, and of course, 2.5 centuries ago, the work that was done by our founding fathers to set in motion this representative democracy, to set in motion this great experiment in self-determination, where we the people, would decide our future, where we the people, would always be writing chapter after chapter in our American story, where we expand our fundamental rights and freedoms, not restrict them. And so while there are those names on the ballot, the reality is this election is about all of us. And whether we are willing to continue to do this hard work necessary that started here 2.5 centuries ago, that has roots right here in Bucks County to make sure that we elect people who are going to protect our democracy, not undermine it, protect and expand our freedoms, not restrict them, and make sure that this great experiment in democracy continues. And so I ask all of you, Bucks County, not just to think of yourselves as agents for Bob Casey, but to think of yourselves as agents of democracy and freedom, to understand the critical role that you play in our nation, the critical role that you play here in this Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the birthplace of freedom and democracy. I hope you are with me to do this hard work. I hope you are with me to defend democracy. I hope you are with me to re-elect our senior senator, Bob Casey. Thank you, Bucks County. Let us get to work. We got 70 days. Let's do it. Thank you.